It's the average hockey fan here, and with all the lingering problems in Montreal and all the lingering doubts that Montreal is not going to make the playoffs, guess what Montreal has done? They've called up Charlie Lindgren. Makes zero difference, to be honest. All it means is Anthony Niemi's days in Montreal are numbered. After these next 13 games, whether they make the playoffs or not, we're not going to see any more of Anthony Niemi. I do not expect him to come in as a backup at any point. I believe Montreal may start Lindgren and they're on the 24th because they have a game prior to that on the 23rd. So with the back-to-back, they may give Price the rest. It would probably be good to rest him for one more game before the playoffs if they do make it. Currently, Sports Club Stats, which is a site that puts together all the analytics, puts together the winning streaks, what their scoring is against other teams that they're on the bubble with or they're close to, and they give it their percentages and what the percentages they think Montreal is going to make the playoffs. And they do it by numbers, stats, looking at comparisons and what their winning streaks are like, how they've done throughout the year, and they're giving Montreal a 44% chance of making the playoffs. So it's pretty much 50-50 depending on how you look at it. It looks like it's going to come down to Columbus and Montreal. Columbus has been struggling lately, but so has Montreal. The Habs are 5-5 in their last 10 games. They've lost 3 of their last 4. This is not the time of year to start losing. Anyways, as far as Lindgren, he's below 900 in the AHL 2 years in a row now, and he's almost at 3 goals against. He's had a few injuries, so that shows how little faith Montreal has in Niemi. They're calling up a struggling starting goalie in the AHL, a struggling backup goalie in the NHL to replace Anthony Niemi. That shows how bad he's doing. They've lost all faith in Niemi. His past 2 starts have gone terrible. He gave up 3 right away in Florida and blew the game, and he gave up 5 goals in San Jose when they only had 24 shots on the whole night, and maybe 10 of them were quality scoring attempts. And the Habs outshot them by 15 and still lost the game. That shows how little faith they have in Anthony Niemi, and it deflates the team every time he lets in an early goal, and he's done it a lot in his past few starts. Even in games he's won, he seems to always give up that early goal. He had that one huge game where he had the most goals saved since the 70s, and a huge, 52 save shutout, and since then it's been all downhill. So there's no consistency with Niemi. He's proven it throughout his career. His track record shows it. Yes, he won a cup in Chicago, but he wasn't great that year by no means. The team had to outscore every team they played in order to win. Then he went to Pittsburgh and was abysmal. Then I believe he went to Dallas and had a really rough time there. Went to Montreal, had one good year. The team sucked, but as far as Niemi's numbers, they were good. And then this year, he's been up and down, and now he's been all downhill. So these should be the last days of Anthony Niemi. His contract expires at the end of the year, so I'm assuming Mark Bergevin is either going to go out and acquire a new backup or go with Lindgren as the long-term backup until Primeau finally develops into the guy in 2 or 3 years to be the solid backup, because he is the future in Montreal, Caden Primeau. He's such a great goalie. Go check him out. He's a young prospect from the NCAA. I've made a video on him before. If you haven't watched him, if you haven't seen him in the World Juniors, check this kid out. He's great. He's a future star for sure. He's probably the next Carey Price. As far as Lindgren, in 33 games played in AHL this year, he's 11-14-6. He has a 2.94 goals against, and his save percentage is under 900. It's around about 890. I forgot to write down his save percentage. Sorry, guys. The Montreal Canadiens, as far as his stats in Montreal and in the NHL, 17 games played. He's 7-8-2. He has a 2.38 goals against and a .914 save percentage and 2 shutouts. So his NHL numbers are solid. Let's hope if he does come in against Carolina, he has one of those games like he had last year where he just stands on his head. Because this is a guy who did thrive his first 5 or 6 games in Montreal last year and showed what his potential could be. He likes playing for the big club. He likes being in Montreal. His dad was at a lot of games. His dad's a big Habs fan, I do believe. So this is a guy for the big club. He can shine. As far as in the AHL, he has been pretty disappointing. He hasn't developed into what people thought he was going to be. But as far as the NHL numbers, they're pretty good. So yeah, that's what that means. That's the recent news. It's no big, huge, just news, just a backup called up. If anything happens, hopefully Price doesn't get injured, and hopefully Montreal gets into the playoffs. I have a feeling after that abysmal game in Anaheim, I don't even want to talk about it, the 8-2 loss. Carey Price's most embarrassing game of his career. I watched that guy play so many games. To give up that last goal where he was stumbling and circled around it was almost like a cartoon. It almost looked like a parody of something, like a parody of a bad NHL game. That's how bad it looked last game. Oh, it was terrible. They lost to one of the worst teams in the league. But as for Price, I believe after that game, he's going to have a statement game in Detroit. He's going to be strong down the stretch. I'm looking for a 9-0-4 record down the stretch. Hopefully Carolina and Columbus start struggling at some point. All these teams have 13 games remaining. One of those teams could struggle. Carolina's been red hot. You can only stay hot for so long until you cool off and eventually slump. Let's hope this is the point where it happens. They beat Nashville the other night, so it's not looking good. But Montreal does have a 50-50 chance of getting in. I believe in my heart and soul they will get in. They're too good of a team this year. You look at Columbus. Columbus have guys that want out. They have Panarin, he wants out. They have Bobrovsky, he's clearly willing to leave at the end of the year. They have Matt Duchene, they don't even know if they're going to re-sign him. They do have some young good players like Seth Jones, but as far as team chemistry, a team that's coming together and really wants it and looks like they deserve to be in there, Columbus does not look like that team to me. Yes, they made the acquisitions. Yes, they went for it. But they're doing it with guys that don't want to be there and that are clearly playing for the money and not to win. As far as Montreal, they have young guys that want to be mainstay Habs. They have guys like Max Domi that love being in Montreal. They have heart and soul players like Galley, Shea Weber, Carey Price. They have guys like that. They have mainstay players. I feel the Habs just deserve to get in there more. They're just a better team. They're going to gel together better down the stretch. They're going to want it more. They're going to be hungrier. And that's why I feel they're going to get in. Whether it's Carolina or Columbus who misses, I feel the Habs are going to leapfrog them. I really, really do. Pittsburgh's just skyrocketing. Now, Pittsburgh's been playing so great. I really feel they're going to be second in Metro by the time it's all said and done. Probably third. They're probably not going to catch the Islanders, but Pittsburgh is playing some really good hockey. You watch them play. They're great. So anyways, guys, Charlie Lindgren's been called up. Looks like we might see him this game for 1 year in Montreal. If they make the playoffs, we're probably not going to see him at all. Hopefully we don't see him at all. God, I wouldn't want it to come to that in the playoffs. But that's the news. That's what's happened recently in Habs land. Hopefully you liked the video. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. Stay tuned for my Detroit review tonight and my recap after the game. Hopefully it's a positive one. Another big 8-goal game for the Habs and not one where they give up 8, for the love of God. Anyways, guys, like, subscribe, comment. Have a great day. This is Mr. Average Hockey Fan, over and out.